Alright guys, let's jump into it. We are back in The Witcher 3, got the 5070 with us here today, and we're going to go through it 4K and then 1440p. So right here at low settings, we are at about 59, just shy of 60 here and there, a little bit above it sometimes, but low settings leaves a lot to be desired. Of course, this is native, so we're not doing any sort of upscaling and no frame generation, but right here we're at about 59 FPS here. And of course our PCL is pretty low, it's about 32 milliseconds, and our VRAM usage is 7.7 gigs, so we're looking pretty good on VRAM. Let's just keep on going and jump through some more of these settings here. I just want to make sure that we definitely get through it all for you today. So let's go up to medium, and medium doesn't do a whole lot of difference between low and medium. There's a little bit, but nothing too crazy. As you can see, the FPS didn't really even move. And of course our PCL is still pretty good, about 30 milliseconds there. So really once this game gets up into the RTX stuff is when it starts to really become quite demanding. So I'm just going to keep on going. We're in about the mid 50s right here, so you can kind of see where that medium is starting to take a little bit more of a bite out of it. Nothing too major at all though. So yeah, let's just jump over and see what we can expect here at the very next level. So let's go up to that very high, or the high setting, that very next level. So if you go to high, it does add a lot back into it. Everything gets much more dense. There's like full-on trees that get loaded in, so it definitely adds a lot more environmental detail. Things don't look as flat anymore, but yeah, it's definitely taking a little bit of a hit. I mean, we're down in the 50s now, not seeing that 60 like we were earlier. So right here, you could probably do a little bit of upscaling and probably be fine. So let's do that now. Let's just, kind of run around here and get a little bit more stuff to load in, just see how it does in different areas. It picks up a little bit in this field, obviously, because it's a field. But yeah, these trees on medium just aren't even there. So whenever you go to high, you definitely get some more vegetation, some more flora, all in the environment. But yeah, let's just keep on running through it. Let's go up to that very next level and go to, let's see, graphics here, and let's go to that ultra. So this is everything that used to be the highest setting on the pre-RTX update. But it's definitely still doing fine. I mean, we're in the mid 50s. Most people wouldn't think that was fine, but you know what I'm saying. Like it's not at a crawl by any means at 4K. So right here, I would probably go and do some upscaling. So we're going to check that out next. So I'm just going to kick that on. I just want to see first what we would expect with RT all the way, pretty much maxed out without any sort of upscaling or any help at all. So right here, this does give you your ray tracing performance. So we're going to go up to ray tracing, then we're going to go back down and see what we can kind of expect with some upscaling at these different settings. So the Ultra Plus, so everything definitely gets completely maxed out. I'm going to leave Hairworks off. It doesn't really matter. It's quite an old technology, but yeah, we'll check it out anyway. So right here, we are at 35 FPS with that first level of ray tracing, and this is just global illumination. This is not any sort of reflections, shadows, nothing like that. It is just global illumination, and that obviously pretty much breaks it. 37 FPS is not ideal at all. Now this is at 4K. We'll definitely take a look at 1440 once we get through this segment. But yeah, we're at 35 FPS here. Yeah, leaving a lot of lot to be desired here. Now we'll say that this game actually winds up looking a lot better with some upscaling. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but there is a lot of speckling and kind of graininess and kind of like a digital film is what I kind of call it. Everything just kind of looks like it has this jitter to the visual before you upscale. So this is kind of one of those games that's, it honestly looks better upscaled. It just kind of gets rid of all that smearing and weirdness in some of it. It's kind of like Wukong. If anyone's seen Wukong, you know, you can kind of get these like weird anomalies before you start to upscale whenever you've pushed it too far. And that's what I'm definitely seeing here. So let's go up to worst case scenario. So this is no upscaling with ray tracing on Ultra. So as you can see, it brings in reflections, shadows, and ambient occlusion. We're not doing any sort of upscaling at all. Of course, everything is still left exactly how it was before. And as you can see, that really tanks our performance. We are down in the 20s, 28, 30. Yeah, it's pretty rough. So let's go back and kind of run through these with some upscaling just to see where we're at. And, you know, then we'll push on into some 1440, which will probably be where this card really shines at anyway. But I wanted to start at 4K just because this is a little bit of an older game, and typically you can go up on your resolution when the game is a little bit older, you know, just because it's less demanding than newer stuff. So let's jump into that now. All right, so let's come in here, go into options, video, and graphics. All right, so let's go down to low again, and let's just kick on some DLSS here and go back to quality. Make sure that we don't have any kind of other things going on here. Yeah, everything looks pretty good. So right here, we were hanging out right there at the 60 FPS mark. I just want to make sure that we don't have anything else going on here. All right, so yeah, there is of course, NVIDIA, you know, reflex low latency plus boost is on, so that's how I typically run my games anyway. But yeah, this gives you a nice jump from the, you know, barely 60 all the way up to 82 here at low. You know, so if you are really wondering what low was like with some upscaling, here you go, and that gives you about 22 milliseconds on your PCL. You know, low definitely looks pretty flat, but it's not terrible. There's definitely way worse looking low settings in the world than this. So yeah, I mean, if you're you know, just really, if you're really into having, you know, 80 something FPS without doing a bunch of upscaling, here you go at 4K. This would do it. But you know, you're probably going to hang on pretty well all the way through. You know, kind of all the way through ray tracing, I believe. So let's go back into graphics. Let's kick it back over to medium. Okay, so we're just gonna run through these settings here. All right, so that only costs you a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 FPS is all, to go from low to medium. And of course, you know, you're still looking pretty good here. You got, you know, upscaling is quite nice on 4K. You can go all the way to performance without much of an issue at all. And yeah, so 81, 82 FPS here. And yeah, let's just keep on rolling through it. So let's go up to that high setting and see what we can expect there. Just kind of chew through some of these and get to the good stuff. All right. So high, there you go. It kind of refreshes it. Everything gets loaded in. You get a lot more grass, a lot more trees and shrubs and bushes and texture and rocks and all kind of stuff. It definitely adds a lot more geometry to the scene, and it does make it look a lot better just from not having such a flat landscape. So yeah, we're about 75 FPS here, and that of course looks quite nice. So yeah, 81 over in this field, of course, because it's, you know, doesn't have a lot. It's just a field. So right here, we're about 80 FPS. So let's just keep on running over here, get some water. Yeah, let's just keep going and see what all we can expect. So let's go to 77 FPS here. So that's a good marker to leave off from. All right, so let's go over to Ultra. All right, so that was about 77 is what we saw. So it gives you about 70, high 60s here on Ultra. So this is pre-ray tracing with quality DLSS. So really everything looks really good on all of these settings with quality DLSS at 4K. You're going to be swinging from about 90 to about mid 70s, depending on, you know, low, medium, high, or ultra. All right, so I believe for this type of game, though, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good way to play it. You know, you don't need super high refresh by any means, but you know, you can definitely get away with doing just quality on all these settings. So let's go to ray tracing and see what that does. All right, so let's go to here, video, graphics, and of course, let's go over to the first level of RT, just global illumination. That's it, nothing too crazy. And that will give you right at 59, 58. And my God, it looks so much better, even with just ambient occlusion. Or not ambient occlusion, global illumination. It makes it just look so much more rich and detailed and has so much more depth to the image. It's well worth playing. But as you can see, you are hitting a significant performance impact. We are in the low 50s here. So we're going to have to go up on our upscaling, which is okay. You know, we're at 4K, so that should be fine. Let's jump over and do that now. All right, so we're just going to come in here, graphics, and knock it down one more to balanced and see what that does. So we're in the 50s over here in these in this trees area. So let's see, we're in the 60s now. So that gave us about 10 FPS or so on average. Still pretty low. I don't like to see 50s, you know, when I'm at 4K or when I'm at any resolution, but especially whenever you can go up one more on your upscaling at 4K, you can get away with a little bit more upscaling because, you know, that base resolution is still 1080p at performance. So I would probably say if you're going to do any ray tracing, you're going to have to use performance DLSS. So let's just go ahead and kick on that performance and see what we can, you know, kind of get away with here. I'm just trying to see what all we can do at 4K with this card. So let's go to performance. All right, so that gives us 70 FPS, 71 FPS. And that is very playable. Now our PCL is still quite low, 27 milliseconds. That is attributed a lot to that NVIDIA Reflex plus boost. It gives you a remarkably good response time. This is a technology that is probably often overlooked, but yeah, it just really does improve your response time. You know, so far so good. I haven't noticed any sort of negative impacts from using Reflex plus the boost. You know, it definitely works very, very well. All right, so yeah, we are at 76, 75 FPS, and let's just keep on going here. So the next level would be to go on up to that very, that, you know, Ultra RT. All right, so let's go up to RT Ultra. All right, so what that does is it flips that over to quality global illumination and then turns all this stuff on here. So we're still going to rock it at performance DLSS just because we're going to need it. I just kind of already know that, and that gives you right at 54, 55 FPS here. So your PCL is around 40 milliseconds, which is in a good range for frame generation. So typically with frame generation, you just want to make sure that you are not, you know, adding additional latency, which you will add some latency. That's just how it works. However, when you have a PCL in the now low 30s, that additional latency won't negatively impact you near as much as if the latency was already way up into, you know, the 60s, 70s, 80 millisecond range. So really you're using everything kind of on top of each other. All these DLSS options stack really well. So, you know, with the frame generation, using the Reflex plus boost fixes the negative side of frame generation, which is latency. You know, and then of course your upscaling gets your frame rate up high enough to where your PCL can remain low as well on top of that boost. So everything's just kind of layered on top of each other. But look at these nice reflections. All that to say is makes your water look really damn good. So that's kind of nice. All right, so we are in the range now where it probably would be beneficial to start toggling some of these different settings. So let's jump over and see what we need to do here. So if you are on, if you're on RT Ultra, if you kick this back down to performance, now your reflections are your heavy hitter. But let's see what ray traced global illumination on performance does and see if that gets us up into the 60s enough. I don't think it will. That's typically not like a huge difference in demand, performance versus quality. But yeah, if you're going to do ray tracing, you're probably already going to have to just say, like, I'm going to do some frame generation. That's no big deal because your PCL's high enough anyway. I just kind of wanted to see what it did if we kicked that performance back on with your global illumination. But yeah, it still looks really good though. I mean, yeah, you're at performance. Yeah, you're using everything at your disposal, but you are on 4K. So let's go ahead and kick that back over. Leave that on performance. All right, so let's go back to display. All right, so here's our frame generation. Let's go ahead and turn that on. Now, this does not have any sort of 2x, 3x, 4x. It's just on. So it is kind of the DLSS 3 version of frame generation. But as you can see here, with everything completely maxed out, you are still in the low 90s, high 80s at 4K, and your PCL is still in the low 50s, even with that frame generation turned on. And of course, your VRAM is still well under control. I mean, it still looks okay. Now, this game does use a lot of shared VRAM already, so don't be alarmed when you see 1.2 gigs of VRAM S, that third one down. This game that's how it works. It just uses shared VRAM a lot, and that's nothing to be worried about. It's just the way the game is designed. But yeah, I mean, you're still looking pretty good here. You're only using 9.3 gigs, so your VRAM's looking really good here. Now at 4K, you're going to use a little bit more VRAM anyway. But right here, you're at 85 FPS here. So, nothing wrong with this at all. Nice reflections. PCL's nice and stable. I'm on a controller and it's feels really responsive, really good. 52 milliseconds is great. 90 FPS here, completely maxed out at 4K. So let's jump down and go to 1440. So I'm going to get all that set up and I'll be right back. All right, so here we are at 1440p, no upscaling, no frame generation, and we are looking like 123 FPS here on the low settings. Now, we definitely can go up quite a bit. PCL's at 21 milliseconds here, so nice and playable, super good frame rate, so nothing to worry about here at all. We're just going to keep on going because we got plenty of headroom to make this look a lot better. And as you probably remember from the 4K segment, as we go up through these settings, not a lot really changes, but we're just going to check it out anyway. So this is medium. That drops you down to about 118. Still, PCL's about, well, we're in the high teens now, so PCL's a lot easier to run, a lot easier to get lower once you, of course, you're at 1440, which is an easier resolution to display for this card. But yeah, I mean, you're still looking really good here. You're at 119 FPS and 1440. This card is really going to shine. So yeah, we're at 20 milliseconds, and let's just keep going here and see what all we can expect as we go up. So I'm going to jump into it here and go down to high. So let's go to high. It's going to do all of its thing, reload it all. All right, so that costs us a little bit, but not too much. Still well over 100. Of course, we're not doing any sort of upscaling. So this is all completely native, no trickery or anything, no magic spells. It's just straight up pixels. So we're doing 122 FPS here. VRAM allocation 7.5, 6.3 have used, and our PCL still in the low 20s. So that still looks really good. So let's just keep going up to high. This is probably going to be a pretty straightforward test here at 1440, just because I expect it to run pretty darn well. All right, so that gives us about 100 FPS still. Still no upscaling. A little bit higher PCL, nothing too bad, 22 milliseconds there. But 90 FPS, and we are looking like 7.7 gigs of allocation. And as far as used VRAM goes, it's about 6.6. So as you can see, the VRAM, the shared VRAM is still quite high. It's just how the game works. 1.1 gigs there, even at 1440. So as you see that, don't be alarmed. There's nothing spilling over as far as like performance issues go. It's just the way the game's designed to use shared VRAM. And that number is never 0 in any game. So some games just, they're set up differently to use it a little bit more than not. So yeah, but it tends to work pretty well because our frame time graph is nice and flat, you know, no snags or anything like that, running really well. All right, so let's jump over to ray tracing. And oh, I don't want to load the game. All right, so let's come down here, go to video, go to graphics, and let's go to that very first level of RT. And again, this is just performance global illumination, and we are still at the native resolution. We are still getting 63 FPS. Now that like digital film, that graininess is back, so I do recommend at least using quality to improve the image. I don't understand what it is in some of these games, but it does sometimes look better if you upscale. Just kind of gets rid of this like kind of sandy texture, this like grainy texture on some of the visuals. And yeah, it definitely looks better to upscale sometimes. So kind of weird, but that's just what it is. All right, I'm gonna do some punches here, rolls. All right, yeah, anyway. Okay, yeah, so let's just keep going because this looks pretty good still. Let's go to video here. Let's go down to display. All right, frame gen is definitely something we're going to look at later. Let's see what all we can do here. So anti-aliasing, of course, is off. So let's jump over to ray tracing ultra. Since we're still looking pretty good, I'm going to probably do some upscaling at both ray trace settings. Because yeah, we're going to need it right here. So we're at 47, 46 FPS. Now our PCL is still 41 milliseconds, but you know, under 60 is not desirable in this title. You know, really under 60 is kind of where I start to draw the line and start saying, okay, we need some upscaling, but quality upscaling at 1440 is still going to look fantastic. So let's go ahead and jump up there because this area right here in this kind of like forest, this back end of the forest. It tends to be harder to run, so this would be a pretty good way to see what impact it makes. So let's go over to quality here. All right, so we are still at ray tracing ultra, and let's see what that does. So it brings us from the 40s up into the 60s, so that's good. All right, so yeah, we're still looking really nice. 70 FPS here with full ray tracing with just a simple quality upscale, and that gives us a 37 millisecond PCL. Whenever I'm looking down, I'm just trying to get some contrast so I can read the PCL for you guys because I know it's small. But yeah, we're looking pretty good here, 77, 78 FPS. So let's go up on our, or let's go down rather, back to that very first level of RT with a quality upscale just to see what it looks like. And then we'll continue on. So yeah, we're still in the 90s. So that still gives you about 100 FPS, roughly, give or take. Probably depending on where you're at. I suspect it to go up in this field somewhat. So let's see, yeah, 92, 93, 94. All right, so not quite 100, but pretty close. All right, so let's just jump over and see what balanced does for us. All right, so let's go to graphics and let's go over to the ray tracing ultra setting, and let's just work through some of these upscalers. All right, so or well, upscale settings. All right, so balanced on RT Ultra gives you about 90 over here. I'm just gonna run over here and check out what those woods look like, the forest over here, because that's typically a little bit more challenging to run. So that was swinging about 90 down to the 70s now. Let's see, go over here. Yeah, we're still looking good though. I mean, we're over 60 just fine. PCL's at 35 milliseconds. So right here though, you're at okay, up in the 80s down to the 70s. So it jumps up and down a little bit, but it still looks really good. All right, so let's go to performance. Now performance is a little heavy-handed at 1440, but it still looks pretty good. You know, if you really need to, but you don't really need to on this game. I just kind of want to show everybody all the different settings. All right, so yeah, we are at 83, 88. Doing pretty well though, 70s. And this forest is a little bit tougher to run anyway, so you know, it'll probably pick up once we get out of here. All right, so yeah, there we go. So how I would probably run this is I would probably just say, if I was at 1440, I would more than likely just use quality and max it out, and then probably just kick on the frame gen and see what we can expect there. So Yeah, let's see, that about 80 FPS there. So 90s looks really good. All right, so let's jump over. So did pretty well at RT Ultra there. So let's come down here and go to quality. All right, and then we are going to go down to display. We're going to kick on that frame gen. So this is frame gen quality DLSS with basically everything completely maxed out. RT Ultra, and you know, your PCL still in the low 50s at 1440, and you're about 122 FPS here. So you're right there close to the 120 FPS refresh. So if you really want to maintain 120, I would probably say a little bit more upscaling would be you know, probably a good bet. So let's jump up and do that now, just for the folks who really want to have 120 FPS all of the time with all the nice visuals. So I'll probably go down to balanced here. And let's see, that gives you about 127, 130. So this gives you a very high refresh. You know, it's definitely taking care of 120 FPS, no problem. PCL is about 41, 42 milliseconds. And everything does seem to be running just fine here. So, you know, this is a really good setting as well if you want to maintain that ultra high refresh and not have to worry about ever really going under it. But yeah, you can go up to performance as well. Let's see here, go down to video graphics. All right, cool. So let's go to performance and let's give it a go. All right, so yeah, that's 152 FPS here at 1440. And everything looks really, really good. You know, like I said, you know, we could check out Hairworks, although that's a very old technology. It does not move the needle at all. It just doesn't matter if you have it on or not. It's, you know, it was kind of a cool thing when it came out, but you know, it just doesn't matter anymore. I don't even know why it's still an option. Probably just because this game's quite old, and back when it came out, turning Hairworks on like really did something. You know, it was like, oh, you know, you need to make sure that you have a beefy GPU to have Hairworks enabled. But yeah, it's not that big of an impact here. So yeah, we're still in the high 40s, 150 here and there. So yeah, we're still good. But Hairworks is just kind of, it's funny that they still have it in there to me. But yeah, so this is probably just going to wrap it all up. You know, like I said, this is a really, really fun, really good game. It is older, but you know, with the RT update, it does require some horsepower still to get that ray tracing to, you know, a good point. So if you like this kind of stuff, please consider subscribing. Sorry about my voice this whole time. I've had the flu and I'm just now getting over it. So, but yeah, we'll see you all in the very next video. Peace.